Lauren Schaefer, a web developer for JazzHub and the social media lead for JazzHub and Jazz.net. In this video, I'll explain how you can use JazzHub to manually or automatically deploy your software to the cloud in codename Bluemix. So I just hit two product names. Let's go over what those are. So first, JazzHub. JazzHub is a place where you can plan, track, develop, and deploy your software in the cloud. At JazzHub, you have the option of using free public projects where anyone can work with you and collaborate with you on your project, or private projects where only those who you invite can see and participate. The other product I mentioned is codename Bluemix. So codename Bluemix, or Bluemix for short, is an open standards cloud-based platform for building, managing, and running applications of all types. Bluemix has a variety of services like a push notification service and a MySQL service that you can use, so you don't have to start coding from scratch. You can build on the services provided. So in summary, JazzHub is a place where you can develop and manage your application and then deploy it to the cloud in Bluemix, where you'll be able to see it running live. So how does all of this work? I'm going to walk you through an example of a team of 4 people. And they are working together to build an application using Node.js. So Anne here is our team lead, and she goes to JazzHub and creates a new project. At JazzHub, you have a couple of different options for which source control you can use, and Anne decides to use a Git repository hosted at JazzHub. So one of the great things about JazzHub is that you can select from a variety of clients and platforms. We all know that developers can be divas about which IDE they use, and Anne's team is no exception. So let me introduce you to the team. Here we have Anne, and she's a desktop user, and she prefers to use the JazzHub browser editor because it has 0 setup and 0 downloads required. Next we have Bill. He's a laptop user, and he prefers to code inside of Eclipse. Next we have Krista. She's also a laptop user, but she really likes to stick to the basics, so she uses a basic text editor for her coding. And finally, we have Dave. Dave happens to be away at a conference this week, so he's doing his coding on his tablet in the JazzHub browser editor. So even though they're using a variety of clients and platforms, Anne's team can all deploy their applications manually to the cloud. So I'll walk you through how they do this. So Anne's using the JazzHub browser editor, and she can press the deploy button in her browser to easily deploy her application to the cloud. So Anne can use this application, she can test it out, see how it works, and file any defects she finds inside of her JazzHub project. Next we have Bill. He's working on a new feature inside of Eclipse, and as he's coding, he wants to periodically check and see if things are working how he expects. So he can use the Cloud Foundry Eclipse plugin to push his application to the cloud. Here he can test it out, make any changes he needs to the code, and re-push his application as necessary. Next we have Krista. She's using her basic text editor, so she can still push her application to the cloud using the command line client. And just like Bill, she can code and deploy as many times as she wants. And finally we have Dave. Even though he's away at a conference this week, Anne assigns him a high priority defect. He says, oh, this is a simple one-line fix. I can do this. So he goes in and he uses his tablet to access the JazzHub browser editor. He makes a quick change and uses the deploy button to push his application to the cloud. So this is great. They're all using their different clients and platforms to push their applications manually to the cloud. But now Anne wants to take things to the next level. She wants to get into DevOps. So anytime a user pushes their changes to the Git repository, she wants to automatically push that application to the cloud. So the first thing Anne does is update her team's manifest file. And a manifest basically just explains, it's a configuration file to explain where the application should be pushed. So she sets up a new application in the cloud that her team will be able to access, and she commits that change to the Git repository. The second thing Anne's going to do is log on to the JazzHub website and turn on auto deployments. And when she does this, it'll automatically take the latest code in the Git repository and deploy the application to the cloud. So now they have a team deployment that they can all access. So Bill's been working on his feature and he's ready to commit his changes. So he uses an Eclipse plugin to push his changes to the Git repository. And what this does is automatically trigger a deployment to the cloud. Similarly, Krista's been working on her feature and she's wrapped it up. So she uses the Git command line client to push her changes to the Git repository. And this automatically triggers an update to the deployment. Finally, we have Dave. And Dave's finished up his defect fix and he's ready to deliver his changes. So he uses the JazzHub browser editor to push his changes to the Git repository, and that automatically triggers an update. So Anne is thrilled. She accesses the team's deployment and she sees Bill's feature, Krista's feature, and Dave's defect fix. Any member of the team can log in and see the latest version of the code. Now that is DevOps in action. You can visit hub.jazz.net today to manually or automatically deploy your software in the cloud. I hope you enjoy diving into DevOps.